Hey everybody, John here, obviously. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Canadian citizen. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia. Well, it's about a week right now before the federal government forced injection mandate comes into force for a huge number of federal employees as well as people working in other jobs. That if you don't get stabbed with an experimental drug twice, you will be rendered unemployable, you will be made to sleep in the streets, you'll starve to death, you're no longer a member of society. What's the purpose of this? Because it's clearly not public health. And I think I figured it out with the help of Anthony Fauci. On October 1st, Anthony Fauci gave a presentation through McGill University through a podcast aimed at all Canadians. And in that presentation, which I'll link to, he said the following. I think what people have to appreciate is that indeed you do have personal liberties for yourself and you should be in control of them. Yes, everybody should be able to determine what goes into their own body. I mean, there's a huge number of people shouting and screaming for other people to get vaccinated as if their own Flintstone vitamins won't work unless the neighbors also take vitamins, which is really ridiculous. And the people pushing the vaccine from official channels are just quite openly saying it doesn't stop infection and it doesn't stop transmission. They're saying it only reduces symptoms. So then why is there such a pressing need for it? And everybody might be asking this question. And Fauci, I think, provides the answer. Fauci continues. He says, you're a member of society, and as a member of society, reaping all the benefits of being a member, you have a responsibility to society. And I think each of us, particularly in the context of the pandemic that's killing millions of people, you've got to go and look at it and say there comes a time when you've got to give up what you consider your individual right of making your own decision for the greater good of society. Now, you might instantly ask, what greater good if it doesn't stop transmission and it doesn't stop infection? What greater good? For what? But the important part is you've got to give up your individual right of making your own decision. Right there is the reveal of what the actual purpose of a mandate of forced injection is. Now, additionally to the forced injection, if you refuse and you want to remain employed, you have to submit to what they call rapid testing, which is you sit down in a chair and some medic attendant sticks a 7 to 8 inch long swab up your nostril and into your sinus cavity and swabs the back of your sinus cavity, which is basically extremely uncomfortable to the point of being very painful. The swab is also coated in an antiseptic because we're tampering with the brain-blood barrier potentially, so we don't want to get an infection. But the antiseptic is carcinogenic. That's purposeful. There's lots of antiseptics that are not carcinogenic. We have chosen one that is. There's purposeful harm being done here in addition to the violation of your person. They're going to force something into your head. This is torture. It's supposed to be. And the object lesson to every person here is that you must allow the injection of an experimental drug into your body. You must let the vampire into your house. Not from your doctor, but from a member of the class of the least trusted people in society, which is politicians. So you must trust a politician with your genetic health from now on to forever. And you'll get a booster and a booster and a booster. We've already seen that 2 jabs is not going to be enough. In Israel, you're not fully jabbed unless it's 3. In other places, it's 4. It's going to be 5, 6, 7. It's going to be 100. It's going to go on forever. That's really obvious. I don't need to explain that. But these forcible giant Q-tip up your nasal cavity into your sinuses is an analog for physically violating you. In fact, it is physically violating you as an object lesson. It's to let you know that you can be violated whenever they want to. Violated you medically, violated you physically. I mean, we're not going to use the word that rhymes with grape, but it's basically the same thing psychologically. It's disguised as a medical procedure so that your conscious mind accepts it, but deep down you're going to know you've been violated. And that's the point. What he said was, you have to give up what you consider your individual right of making your own decision over your own body. The purpose of forcible injections is to smash and destroy a very fundamental idea that is key to Western civilization, and that is that each individual has within them the spark of the divine. I know that's religious language, but I think it's the appropriate language because that's the basis for all of our other social and legal constructs. the idea of you're innocent until proven guilty comes from the individual has import. The individual matters because within each person, from a lowly street urchin with no financial means and no prospects, they have the same rights to not be assaulted and molested and taken advantage of and abused as a very rich person in law, because we believe in the West that each individual has within them the spark of the divine. That idea is what must be smashed for oligarchs to extend their power and not be inconvenienced by the individual people having basic rights over themselves. That's the idea that must be smashed. That's the purpose of a forced injection mandate. And that's why it's more than just you decide whether or not you get to put what is in your own body yourself. You decide what is done to you. You decide you will not be assaulted. You will decide you will not be wounded. You will not be tortured. You'll not have something forcibly shoved inside your body cavities. The idea to be destroyed here is the idea of individual liberty, individual self-ownership, my body, my choice, the thing that rang out in the streets for 30 years. That is what must be smashed. That's why Dr. Anthony Fauci is telling you, give up your individual rights and go get vaccinated. Thanks very much for listening, and as always, have a lovely day.